for the very, very few people getting this message. We want to prove to the whole world that the impossible dream can happen.
You're it. You're the biggest it in the room. I'm it. You're it. We're all it. We're on the planet one whole Earth, and I'm calling it Spaceship Whole Earth because our Buckminster Fuller said that's what we are. If we think of it as a spaceship, then we're in a closed system, and we know that we got to make this thing work for everybody. Not only everybody, but every living thing too, because we're all interconnected. Can't do this alone. So starting there, we're talking about the last week on one whole Earth. Oh my goodness. Did you see what just happened? Holy shamoly. So the hashtag we are fucked comes to mind. Hashtag we are fucked. And then I thought about the hashtag I am fucked. Because I'm one of those who got completely, I was having my retirement all planned and ready to go, and everything was going to go smooth sailing just like it had been for the last 10 years or so, thanks to Biden and those guys and a good, solid, stable economic policy that we were working on, and we were enjoying the fruits of the American dream. And then somebody thought it was okay to bring a fucking, wrecking ball into the White House. And this guy is going after it, man. I got to say, I'm a little bit hurting. So, I'm in the front line of this thing. I'm just was getting ready to retire. And now we got to keep working. So that's the kind of thing. We had a list here, Renee. Get in here. What was the list about? It was horrible. What a week.
Yeah, so market crashed, right? How much of this and the tariffs, which some of them were walked back, even at some point, Trump was actually being so crazy with these tariffs and crashing the entire market that Elon even begged him, apparently, to draw it back and to walk it back. That's pretty bad. If even Elon is freaked out, that's pretty bad. So America has basically alienated itself and tanked its own markets, and Trump tells us to just keep waiting, and eventually we'll gain that businesses will want to buy in. That's what he's telling us.
So we're obviously we're being led by a complete nincompoop.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to steer the ship, and he doesn't know what he's doing. Anyway, well, we get to rebuild back better. Okay, we got to keep out the hope that we can do this thing. Once we crash everything to smithereens, then we can rebuild it to accommodate everybody.
Right.
Now, this is where we come into the hope of it all, because when we're playing the whole Earth game, you remember we're playing a game that is not even of this planet. We're playing a game that is a universal type of thing. We're looking at the Hermetic principles because they govern the universe, right? Let me know give me a thumbs up if you're down for Hermes, Trismegistus. Give me a thumbs up if you're down for seeing the planet as a little teeny dust speck, And we got everything we need for all living things. Give me a thumbs up if you can talk about the fact that we're in this all together. If you can see this all together. Now, a lot of people want to get mean. They want to get ugly. They want to say, this is mine. This is mine. You can't have it. This is mine, 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 mine. But that there's no such thing as mine. Give me a thumbs up if you know there's no such thing as mine. Go ahead and stamp the time. I do this on other people, so I know you can do it. Stamp the time. Give me a thumbs up. No such thing as mine. It's ours. Okay, we belong. It belongs to every living thing. So now, once we finally figure this out, then we can actually transition. If we figured this out right away, you would see starships uncloaking by the millions. They're all around us. It's like we are the biggest show on Earth right now. We're the greatest show on Earth, and you are in it, and we are in it together. And you have just as much chance of taking the ball down the field for a touchdown as I do. And, together we can actually move the whole field to slant down to touchdown so we can all get stuff we want. Okay. Because that is my imagination. If I can think it, so can you. Now, I don't come to this imagination by myself. I bring with me Bucky Fuller. I bring with me John Todd. I bring with me Nikola Tesla. I bring with me Mark Twain. I bring with me Abraham Lincoln. I bring with me a board of directors to come solve the problem of what the fuck I'm doing on Earth. And it comes to me like this is the one manageable thing I can do, and that's just look at my own small life. And, we're just going to go until the money's out. And when the money's out, we'll figure out what to do next. But we're not going to panic. I'm telling you that so I can remember to remind myself. I'm not going to panic. And but here's the thing. That statement is the weirdest. Have you noticed, Renee? That quote, unquote, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
You keep hearing this. Here's the thing. 3
Right.
words, and you keep hearing it on speeches after speeches after speeches.
Right.
You hear it on the TV. You hear it on the news.
I say
They
it
throw
too,
this weird little.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, and it's a weird double speak. When we put these kind of arrows and we talk about and we use language with power, and we know that this language has power, and somebody puts in the word, but here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, remember the word basically, how basically was starting
Yeah.
to be used everywhere? Like
Yeah.
basically,
Basically and literally.
basically. I don't
So
even know.
basically.
And
Yeah.
do you know, do you know what I mean? Do you know what
Yeah.
I
You know
mean?
what I
And then
mean?
they made a joke out of it on South Park. Do you know what I am saying?
Yeah, because it was ubiquitous. It's everybody using it all the
So
time.
that's the new ubiquity. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. So the
Yeah.
new ubiquity is just like, and the thing is, and here's the thing. Well, here's the thing. We only need 5 things for every living thing. Remember that? Give me something, hit that like button. For every living thing, just 5 things. Now think about it. The world is our place to sleep. Now came to me in a dream, if you will. I'm sharing it with you so that I can try to get through this night without freaking out. We got a big full moon tonight. Oh my goodness, it's the 13th, April 13th. 13s are always weird days. I just had a great talk with my daughter, the first time in the history of our relationship. It's just amazing how something changed. But 13, and then on the galactic side of it, we're at 13.12.8.16. But there's a lot like 12 and 8 and 16. That's some crazy even numbers going on there. But we're also slipping away. So Mercury is moved from retrograde back into prograde, I guess, and then Venus was another one that was slipping into retrograde, and of course it's popping into prograde. Okay, and then these are really good signs that things are moving forward in a good way. So we have astrologically things saying that things are moving in a good way, but here on Earth we're seeing things fall apart in a chaotic way. So sometimes from the universe it looks like chaos is actually a good thing, because chaos is a way to but it doesn't make our life, our little teeny life, trying to get some 12 eggs and trying to feed the kids is not going to be easy. That doesn't come part of it, though. Being easy is not part of the game, unfortunately. It could be. We can make it easy for every living thing to be here, but for whatever reason they choose not to. Right? And this is why you know that you're being messed with by some extraterrestrial matrix, because we had this other matrix. Now the matrix of the Lemurians and the matrix of the hunter-gatherers is a different type of matrix than I'm in right now. I don't have stuff there, but I have happy, joyous, and free. Happy, joyous, and free. What is that? I mean, if you don't even know the words for happy, joyous, or free, but you just are, can you imagine that time? Just being in that place perpetually. Maybe it's pretty boring. Maybe that's why we make up stuff and you have to have a blood thing and you have to go. But I don't know. I don't think so. It's fun to watch, but I don't think it's necessarily how you want to be in there. But who knows? People do different things. And that's in a free will society and so forth and so on. So, back on planet Earth, we're having this thing. So what I want to talk about is, being, because so I listen to free speech radio. I like free speech radio. I like Pacifica Airwaves, and I like KPFK, and I like KCSB, and I like the Pacifica brand. And so in that brand, I was able to become acquainted with a fantastic person. I want you to go out and find out more about him. Maybe you're already a big fan of this guy, so I need a big thumbs up if you are too, with Alan Watts. I ran into the tapes of Alan Watts when I was in the 80s. I went to California to art school at UCSB, and the professor brought Alan Watts tapes for us to listen to while we were painting. And I became fascinated with those topics, and I just became, when you hear the ring of truth, you just know the ring of truth. So you don't have to be told 5 times. Thank you, old Papa Allen. But he brought it, into my ears, and then of course I did my own homework on that. And Santa Barbara is a magical place to find all of that stuff happening like in real time. There are little, nooks and crannies of spirituality in Santa Barbara and Oxnard and around the whole where I live. So I mean, it's not so hard to find it. But so here we are. So the sin. So and actually, I found out about this story from Alan Watts, but he was talking about the story of Lao Tzu and the art of war, and maybe the Book of Three Rings or something like that in there. But we're talking about the fact that he was explaining that to sin is to be off the mark, right? That's what a sin is, just to be slightly off the mark. So if you're off the mark, you're in sin. But Catholic Church took this to be, something, and created a whole set of rules and values around fear-based religion, so that they can manipulate us into doing what they wanted to do and giving us all, giving them all the money, because it was always about the money with this new religion. That's what Christ was talking about in the temple. And it's funny that here we were, I think it was this Saturday, in fact, and SNL made a skit about it. And then Donald Trump comes walking into the scene where Christ is thrown over the temple at the temple. You can't make that stuff up. But so Sermon on the Mount, remember? 3 fishes and the loaves. And everybody got fed. It was a miracle, right? No, it was a simple demonstration that there's plenty on earth for every living thing. Then he goes down to the temple, and, you're making the temple into a Walmart. Wasn't that great? Isn't that something you want? No. So that's what got him going, and then I think, there's another story that steps into that story about who this guy was and what he was saying. But generally, the idea is that there's plenty on earth. If we decide to go that way, we can have it, anytime we want. And that's peace on earth right there. So what I did is when AOC was running 8 years ago, seems like forever time, she ran on a platform of the Green New Deal, and she was onto something. And I think that I know that she's got this in her back pocket. So I don't want you all, if you're an AOC fan, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my thing, because we're going to talk about this. We're going to bring to AOC, bring it to you, and hopefully you can help carry the ball up to our fantastic champion. because everybody's going to win. You see, that's the thing. When we go into the green economy, everybody wins. If you are a Trumper, you want to win. If you want to make money, Trump, before, when he was a Democrat, he was all about wind energy. When he was thinking about investing in wind energy, he would have made a ton, okay? But, it just didn't suit his purpose. The guy's obviously a crook and a shyster and will lie, cheat, and steal to get wherever he needs to get, because he's more afraid of going to jail than anything else, right? He's more afraid of actually showing who he really is as a person. So we're going to end up having to forgive this guy, and that's just so wish we didn't have to do it. I wish he didn't have to make us go into such anguish watching him completely trash, what we had. So let's see. The Green New Deal. Well, the Green New Deal is the only way to go. And I think so. AOC and Bernie Sanders are going around on the oligarchy tour and getting record crowds. I don't even know, like 35,000 people showing up for a nighttime speech somewhere in California. And it's fantastic. Okay. Well, California really can also, it's a large enough economy to start making deals directly with China and simply turn its back on the complete United States. I mean, just do something, really weird like this. I don't know. Gavin Newsom is one of these people, is very slick too, and completely knowledgeable. There's also Kamala Harris, and still in somewhere lurking in California. She is one of our girls, and she is very bright. And given the choice of, like, Kamala, how would you rebuild our government? She would give you a law and order prescription on how to make it done. And I think we might bring in the top university professors around the country. Why not get Harvard and Yale and stick them right out there in the front burner and let them design the new democratic republic? Let's build onto the more perfect union that was the vision of the people who created this country. Are you with? I mean, does anybody else feel complete betrayal? The fact that we've lost 250 years of hard-earned and hard-won, something close, not even close to perfection, just a little bit closer to perfection. And it's completely being just put under the table. We have to reignite this and bring it back to a new vision of what we know to be true, which is that plenty for all living things. There's plenty for everyone without killing another person, without igniting another bomb. We've done enough to reduce the population of the Palestinian people. We've done enough to reduce the population of individual, races and creeds and so forth around this planet. We're ready to, annihilate the Eskimos in Denmark to get Greenland. It's ridiculous. We don't need this. We can make plenty for everyone. I mean, even you would think a dumbass like Trump would figure this out, but he can't. He can only work with the hate. You think a dumbass like Elon Musk would figure this out, but he can't. You think a dumbass like all these people who voted for Trump would think that understanding more money for everyone means that you can hate more, you can do all the more things you want to do, you can buy more stuff, if you just have more money. Now that's over. So good luck. Good luck. Now we have to forgive you too. Darn it. Love first, then forgiveness. What do I miss? We got about another minute here. What do you think, Renee? Can I get everything?
Well, no. So we have two more topics that we wanted to discuss, and then we have questions and comments as well. But I know that we wanted to tap into the hands-off protests again and the associated protests that are going on and mass deportations.
Okay, so the protests that are going on, again, are whatever gets people into the street, but it doesn't it's just going to translate into votes. So everyone, in these marches needs to be like going through the whole Starbelly Sneech thing and getting herself a some kind of voting certificate so they can go vote. So take this right into the thing. So we're having midterms coming up any minute here. So this is your chance to really show it. If we can switch the House and the Senate in the midterms, the question is, are we going to go and usually the Democrats wimp out and somehow try to be somehow cordial or somehow a little bit, I don't even know. It's just the weirdest fucking thing. Lay down and let these Republicans stomp all over them. But we need, at that point, we need to really, rig back. Are you willing to rig the election for the democracy is the question I asked before the election. Now, what are you willing to do to keep this democracy? And that's the challenge that we're all going to see and get into. So anyway, now today's WholEarth game 12. I mean, we're going to put a 16 on that. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter. The star date. Now look, you need to know that these are months. So 12 is a year above 13,000. So 120 years. No. So let's have some questions.
Okay, did we talk about the mass deportations?
Well, mass deportations obviously are just wrong. There's nothing good at this. It's going to backfire so fast, but not fast enough. I'm very concerned with all the innocent people. 90% of the people that they took away are not guilty of anything. No one's talking about that either. Those 90% of the people are suffering every single day under some type of duress. They're suffering from lack of freedom. They're suffering from whatever type of, and they're going to have stories to tell when they get back. And I would really hope that we start broadcasting all these stories, because they're going to be something to see. And we don't want to do this again. This is really terrifying. This is the mass terror that's happening. We're being terrified in so many different ways. That's why, please forgive me if I try to oversimplify this thing, but when we're in a bind, we just want to stop for a second, take a breath, and look at that tasty orange and just think about how it tastes to bite into that orange. How sweet that juice is, Are you the hammer or the nail? Let's just be the nail. Right now, we can just be the nail and we can just sit. Okay, mass deportations. No, never going to be good. This is against the law. These people should be put in jail. The people who are doing this need to be going to jail, right? That's it. And maybe they will. Let's find out. What's next?
Okay, so we had a comment that said there is a Russian term called useful idiots. That is Elon and Trump.
Well, idiotic people, stupid people are very dangerous people. As you see, we're being corrupted by stupidity first, and then ignorance second, and then this racist is just ignorance, and some type of weird fear of the other, because, again, we're all in this together. There's no such thing as color, skin color. Skin color is it's a relationship to where we were born on the planet to the sun. It's a thing. You have a melatonin rich or melatonin poor. The people who are lighter are melatonin poor. The melatonin rich people had all the power for a long time. Now it's just weird, but it's just another device in the matrix to keep us separate. We want to remember that everyone is the same. We all bleed red. That puts us in the category of just fucking being the same. That's, Lincoln, that's what he on this side. Anyway, that's what he came to. The understanding he came to is that if two men bleed red, then all men bleed red. Okay, you can't change that. Once you take that in, you're done.
Right. So
That's
Lisa
Euclidean,
said,
by the way, it's Euclidean geometry.
oh, okay.
If two things are the same, then all things are the same of that thing. He brought Euclid. He taught himself that geometry, and then he brought it into most of his cases. You always use philosophy to win a case. I mean, that's the only way you got to do it.
Yeah. We have a comment from Lisa. She said, as a Canadian, I am deeply concerned that Americans elected into office Donald Trump, who seems to be tanking the entire system.
Okay, remember, is that Lisa?
Yeah.
Lisa, he was not elected in. He was installed. We were literally, this election was stolen, and the voter suppression is there to look at, and the numbers are there. And if you look at the Greg Palast Vigilante Inc., I think there's really very little question, less question whether, who shot JFK in this case. You see, I mean, we can look at the data and look at the voter suppression and the challenged votes by this organization called Vigilante Inc. And if those people were actually counted, Kamala Harris would have won this election, and we'd be off on a whole different story. This would have been like the greatest thing, but except I'm not quite sure. It's like we were too afraid of what the Trump people would do, so we allowed the Trump people to win so that we wouldn't have to see what they would do. But now we're seeing what they do. Oh my God. What kind of crazy. But remember, it wasn't us. We didn't do it. It was stolen from us. Just like 9/11 was another inside job. It was an inside job. Just like JFK is an inside job. It is an inside job. Okay? I hope that answers your question, Lisa. Keep tuning in. Please subscribe.
Yeah, and then Herman, I don't know where Herman is, but Herman said, I don't understand any of the American thing or culture anymore. It's too disappointing. I just don't trust Americans.
I mean, I don't know. These are typical reactions. And why would you trust our government? The government that's installed now is not a trustworthy government. This is the biggest scare. This is the biggest terror. Is that in a country that we thought everything was pretty well organized has been completely disorganized. So I don't know where Herman's from, but if he's been in a country that's been a victim of this, then he knows what I'm talking about. Otherwise, I mean, yeah, we're just reacting the way you want. They're telling you to react. With these comments particularly, I'm just seeing that there's no real, you have to look outside that, first of all. If you're being shown this and this is what you're supposed to look at, that's not what you're really supposed to look at. Be discerning. Learn to look around the corner. Do not look at what's right in front of you. It's never going to be what they're showing you. It's hocus pocus.
Yeah, I wanted to chime in there and say, like, first, what we're saying is that not the majority of Americans are on the side of Trump. And I think that the headlines, especially the global headlines, they're making it look as though this is some kind of cohesive effort that every American citizen agrees with. No, that's why we talked about the hands-off protests. I mean, people are protesting en masse. People are showing up. People are doing all kinds of things that they can think of to try to make sure that other voices are heard. So
Honestly,
absolutely, yeah.
these people are reacting just like everybody else who just came in. They are working on that same premise, and they are going right out to the street. This is a show. We don't know. I mean, it feels like a vast majority of people are not happy, but what is this going to do?
Mm-hmm.
If we can't get a bill on the floor, if we can't get it passed through the House, if we can't get it to the Senate, if we can't get it signed by the president, we're just we've just been this is why letting this election be stolen is really the crime of the century. It's another 9/11 in plain sight event. You have to understand this is not us. American people are not doing anything like this.
Exactly.
It's being
Exactly.
done to us like it's being done to you by these people who are absolutely, this is what's frightening.
Right. Yeah. Sue
Gonna end
said,
up
thank you.
we're gonna end up really fucking I mean, it's gonna be bad.
Sue said, thank you for good and decent news broadcasting and programming. This is a breath of fresh air. Thank you, Sue.
Well, let's just stay with the positive thing. That's our choice. use the chemistry, play the game, make the chemistry. I mean, I'm just doing it because the alternative is not even thinkable.
Yeah, and
Perfect.
Herman said, "I appreciate the explanation. I did not understand. Thank you, and
Oh,
long live
Herman, thank you so
America.
much for listening. I appreciate that too, buddy.
Long live America." Thank you, Herman. Thank you.
Yeah. This is being done to us. We're all victims of this. This is why it's now something like this is the moment where the world comes together, remembering where they were when Trump was president, because this is when we realized we were just regular folks. Everybody was just a regular folk, maybe. I don't know. Is this the time we can all, get together as regular people and not fight each other? I don't know. That's, it's one of those impossible things. Remember, if you go back through, we're having some new podcasts. We're building some podcasts to help explain the system a little bit more. So you want to definitely subscribe. You want to get involved, stay in touch with our little group here, and we're going to start building momentum as we move forward with good, solid, just fact-based and reality-based solutions. Because when the dust settles, we're still going to need the same 5 things. I'll see you on the field. Everybody plays at practice. Don't be late.
If you're one of the very, very few people getting this message, we want to prove to the whole world that the impossible dream